I have another question for you. You work for the Abenaki tribe in Vermont.
Right.
What do you do for them?
They do more for me than I do for them.
No.
But I'll tell you what I do for them. I'm an
function.
outreach worker, and I'm a paralegal.
What does an outreach worker do?
Well, an outreach worker reaches out.
No.
What I do is I do consciousness raising, I do public speaking, I organize support groups that, give support to the tribe. I do legislative advocacy on behalf of the tribe. I study treaties and international law and state law and federal law and various codes and determine by what means we can reestablish the sovereignty of the tribe, how we can prove, that they in fact have not relinquished the rights to their lands or the rights to fishing and so forth.
No, the Abenaki tribe, that's the one where they said they were going. Is that the one way up north? Where they said they weren't going to re-register their cars or
right.
set their own laws?
Right. The Abenakis basically are a nation. And their stewardship includes a third of Canada, a third of New York, a third of Massachusetts, a third of Maine, and all of Vermont and New Hampshire. They're actually a nation that's been in existence for 11,000 years. They've never sold their land or ceded it or surrendered it by right of conquest or signed a treaty or in any conceivable way relinquished their rights to their land. And that's further bore out by the Non-Intercourse Act, which Congress had implemented in 1872, which said that no land could be transferred from Native Americans to anybody else without congressional approval. So, basically, Vermont state government, New York government, all the other state governments I mentioned, and the Canadian government are squatting on Abenaki land. So it's imminent that this will all be bore out in court with overwhelming evidence.
They're carrying suits now.
So the chief of the Abenaki tribe, Homer St. Francis, has issued eviction notices to the Vermont state government, the Fish and Game Department, to the Vermont State Police, and so forth. They register their own motor vehicles under Abenaki title. The plates display the Abenaki flag, and the Vermont state government doesn't particularly like that. They issue the chief 10 or 20 tickets a week, and his family members and anyone else who operates with those plates on. But the chief and other tribal members also issue tickets back to the state police for trespassing and violating Abenaki law. So essentially they've cited them into court, and at the end of the land claims, then these people will have to come and stand before the tribal council and the tribal judge and be prosecuted for violating Abenaki law.
Do you study all these laws and walk into the chief and say, this is what I think you ought to do? Or do you report to a lawyer?
Well, I help to locate lawyers.
You help to locate lawyers?
I screen lawyers.
All right.
I screen lawyers, and I also collaborate with them and strategies and so forth. On one level, I'm a student and study along with the chief and the tribal judge. And on the other hand, I teach them some laws, for example, mental health law and laws that pertain to the family unit. I'm an advocate for children and parents that have been removed from their families. I'm an advocate within the Mental Patients Liberation Movement. And so often, Native people are incarcerated.
Where did you come by this advocacy? I'm serious.
It's a hot question.
Why did you?
I did that because basically I was raised as a mentally retarded child, and people would not validate my identity, nor would they let me pursue my identity. So I eventually became a very frustrated, angry person, and persisted in my own ways and path, and it angered me over the years. And when I was a midwife in Vermont, I was incarcerated in the Vermont State Hospital for delivering a child 20 years ago. and I was held for 2 weeks involuntarily and forced drugged. They gave me enough Thorazine to kill an elephant. They gave me 4,500 milligrams of Thorazine every day, and threw me into a stupor and made me more or less mindless for a while. I eventually got myself out of the system within a couple of weeks, and when I had observed how horrendous the living conditions were there, how people were being given chemical lobotomies with Thorazine and Prolixin, I became aware that their central nervous systems were being destroyed and the frontal lobe of their brain, and that progressively their minds would degenerate and they would become vegetables and they would start to display symptoms of schizophrenia or manic depression that in fact were chemically induced by drugs that had been invented by Nazi Germany and France back in the 50s. When I became aware of electroshock and how it destroyed the frontal lobe of the brain and how it caused the brain to hemorrhage and essentially, throw people into stupor where they'd lose up to 20 years of memory, I committed my life to going back there and dealing with them. When I left, I told them I'd be back. And I told them they'd never see the end of me until psychiatry.
So you then went to school, or you had gone to school?
No, basically I have a 3rd grade education and I have a year of law school.
A year of paralegal.
Right.
Junior college.
Right.
Okay.
But primarily, I basically
routine.
read a lot of books and studied with old farmers and Indians and studied with people who know law.
Yeah.
I'm self-taught. I probably have close to a doctor's degree for an equivalent. I'm well-versed in the law. I don't practice law. What I do is I always give people information that I think is valid.
Yes.
And I always ask them to confer with an attorney, make sure that's true, because it's simply my opinion. Well, my opinion usually is bore out.
Well, if you read the books, you know. That's what people know.
Well, we have to cover ourselves because Babylon doesn't really want anybody to get any information that's free or works.
No.
But anybody in TV land there that needs some help, they're trying to lock you up or snatch your kids up, and it's not based on some just cause. Green Mountain Liberation Front, Vermont Children Parents Rights Organization, Mental Patients Liberation Movement, Victims of Child Abuse Law, the National Association for Rights Protection and Advocacy. We're all standing by, ready to confront the oppressors. Come to Bethel, I'll tell you, you're going to see something in your life that's very beautiful and enduring.
Tell them we love them, right?
We love you. See you in Ithaca, see you in Bethel. Bring a smile. I think you should keep the dogs home. Too many dogs make dogs.
I got mine in the truck, so everything's cool. All right.
This is beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You leave me your address. I'll see if I can get you a copy of this tape here and the last part of it.
Yeah, sometime if I actually had geared up for this, it would come out.
Oh yeah, well.
And I could do that. Sometimes you want something a little more
I'm interested.
Together.
Nah, I don't care. Together is
yeah,
what goes on.
Together, right? I hear you.
Come in if you're around. Come in tomorrow. I'm here from noon to 2, I think.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah, get a pencil. I'll jot down.
Well,
I'll put it on tape. How's that? Bear Care, David Callahan, P.O. Box 961, Montpelier, Vermont, 05602.
You can write it right there.
I won't put the phone number on here.
And I'm going up for Bread and Puppet.
All right, that's a good gig.
The Bread and Puppet Circus also goes.